to another episode of Manas. Today we are going to see about a very important 3-letter word in our life. Yes, not a 4-letter word, but a 3-letter word. That is called ego. E-G-O. Now that is one of very important elements of our mind. And you know that this channel is focused on mind and everything related to the mind. So what is ego? Normally we associate ego with many things like a superiority complex, thinking that we are right, not accepting other people's thoughts, feeling that I am the most greatest person in the world, many kind of things like that. While all that is true, but the fact that a person having an inferiority complex, somebody feeling so low about themselves, somebody feeling that they are being used in life, those are also a component of ego. So what actually is ego? Ego in the real sense of the term is the image what we have about ourselves. What I call it as the self-image. So we have an image about ourselves. I have a way of dressing, I have a way of speaking, I would like to have a cup of coffee in the morning. All these things which I call as my own nature. So I have an image. When I say I'm Nanda Kumar, I got an image about myself. Now that image what I carry about myself is called ego. Now if you look at the origin of this ego, you will understand that this started from the time we were born. And the moment when people saw us as small children, and when we smiled at them and they said that we look beautiful, and the child started smiling, ego started from there. And from then on, as we grew up, we created an image about ourselves mainly from what we heard other people telling about us, their opinions, their thoughts, and they saying that we are good, we are bad, we are ugly, we dress well, this dress suits us, this doesn't suit us, this color is good on you, this color is not good on you. Many of what these people told us, the outside environment, we picked up all that and created an image for ourselves, which we call as our self-image. And that self-image is what we define as ego. Now, do we have only one image? No, we have multiple images. We have a different image at home, we have a different image with our friends, we have a different image with our family. We have, with different friends, we show different images also. So there are so many different projections of ego as well. Now, how to identify ego? Now, say for example, you love somebody very closely, but you get angry with them. Anger at a loved one. You love somebody, but you get angry. Now, there is a contradiction there, right? And an indicator of ego. You feel insecure. That's an indicator of ego. You feel that I am getting insulted, or they are not listening to me. I don't have value here. So these are all some of the examples for us to understand what ego is. Now, contradictory to ego. Ego is something which is not good for us because most of the time that is not real. That's not the real me. How many of you would have in your life at least once said, I don't like what I am doing? Now when you say, if you explore that statement, I don't like what I am doing, who is the first I and who is the second I? You will notice that the I is the self, the first I is the self, and the second I is the ego, the role you play. So every role we play as father, mother, brother, sister, these are all ego projections, the roles. So in your office, when you are a manager, that's an ego position what you have. So there is an image in relation to that position what you have, and you play on that image or on that role. This is the difference between ego and self-esteem. So if you look at ego and self-esteem, there are fundamentally lots of differences. If you look at a person who has ego, he would love themselves. A person who has got self-image will value himself and also accept other people. A person with ego would worry more about himself and not about others. A person with self-esteem would also think about and care for other people. They can't look beyond their beliefs. People who are egoistic cannot look beyond their own beliefs. But people who have got self-esteem are willing to see the beliefs of other people. They are willing to see their point of view also. Similarly, people with ego generally will lack empathy. They will not be able to put themselves in other people's shoes. People with good self-esteem will be able to put themselves in other people's shoes, and they have really good empathy. Empathy is about looking from the perspective of the other person. Now, a person with ego would generally tend to expect things in return. I love you and I expect you to love me. I care for you and I expect you to care for me. So there is always an expectation which is built, and this expectation comes from the ego. I am doing this for you because tomorrow you will do this for me. But if you look at a person who is having a good self-esteem, he would do it only because he wants to do it. He or she would want to do it. So they are very altruistic. They don't expect things in return. So they do things just because they want to do it. And if they don't want to do something, they would not do it also. And if you look at people with ego, they would be very hierarchical. They would want those positionings to happen. They would demand that kind of respect to be given to them and all that. But people who are having good self-esteem, they respect everyone for whatever position they are in. So these are some of the examples of the difference between self-esteem and ego. So usually, again, one of the most important differentiators for people with ego are, if you look at them, they will always want to have something of an advantage coming back to them. They would be expecting respect. They would be expecting a kind of reward. They would be expecting regard from other people. They would expect people to take care of them. But if you look at people with self-esteem, good self-esteem, they would be mostly selfless givers, and they would just be doing it for the value of doing it for the people. They will also know what their deficiencies are, their weaknesses are. People with ego generally tend to hide their weaknesses, but people with good self-esteem, they'll always be able to accept what is their weakness, and they'll always be able to say, I'm not good at this, can you help me get this done? So this is fundamentally the difference between self-esteem and ego, and I hope you had a clarity about what ego is and what self-esteem is today. And the moral of the story is that ego generally is something which we have built on the perceptions of other people. So most of it is not real. You need to look back and identify whether the self-image, what you are carrying about yourself, how true or how real it is for you. Thank you so much. Please subscribe to this channel if you liked the session, and also share it with your friends. Thank you and bye-bye.